Hi, this is Dr. Otto von Bismarck, Chief Scientist at Vermont Labs. This watch may look like a real Seiko Tuna, but it's really an imitation Seiko Tuna. Is it any good? We shall find out. I bought this imitation Tuna on eBay for $220 from a guy in Egypt. I'll leave a link to the seller's listing. The watch is advertised as being a San Martin, and it has that name on the hang tag. However, on the watch face, it says LTM. I have no idea what LTM means or stands for, and I suspect it will forever remain one of those mysteries of the universe. The watch comes in this miniature Pelican style case. The watch came with no plastic on it. It looks like the plastic came off the watch while it was sloshing around during shipping. The watch also came with a screwdriver, which, as you can see, punctured its way through the plastic. It also came with these little rubber things that look like condoms for dwarfs, which I have no idea what they are. If someone could leave a comment in the description, I would appreciate that. The watch has scratches on the end links, has a scratch here and on the other one, and that is probably from hitting the shroud. So this may have happened while it was sloshing around during shipping. The watch did not come with a warranty, nor did it come with a manual. One has the choice of buying the LTM with either a Seiko NH36 mechanical movement, which has a day date on the watch face, or with a solar quartz movement with just a date watch face. And this, as you can see, is just has a date. It is the solar variant of the watch. Excuse me, a solar quartz variant of the watch. You could also buy these watches with a rubber strap for slightly less, though I urge people not to do this, as the bracelet is, for the most part, very well made. The solar quartz movement is stamped on the back of the watch. I'll try to give you a view of that. It is a caliber VS37 movement, which is made by Epson. Esslinger, an online store that sells watch parts, sells this movement for about $40. Since I did not remove the case back, and I'm not going to remove the case back, there is no way for me to verify whether the LTM in fact contains the VS37 movement. I would be a little surprised if it doesn't, but you never know. The VS37 movement is a fully featured solar quartz movement. It has an expected running time of 6 months. When fully charged, it has overcharge protection. It has a power depletion warning function and a quick start function, which allows a depleted battery to start running the watch after being exposed to light within a few seconds. It has a stated accuracy of plus or minus 20 seconds a month. The LTM is not a Tuna homage. It is very deliberately trying to mimic features of real Seiko Tunas. I've never handled nor even seen a real Seiko Tuna. The information that I am providing you about real Seiko Tunas comes from photos, specifications, and descriptions. The LTM borrows its handset and indexes from the Seiko Prospex Solar Tuna, model SNE497P1. The LTM borrows its stainless steel shroud and bezel from the Seiko Marine Master Professional 300 meters, model number SBBN031. This is also a Tuna. The writing on the lower portion of the LTM says Marine Master Professional 300M, which is exactly what the Seiko Marine Master Professional 300 meters has written on its watch face. This seems very sleazy to me. What also seems sleazy to me is that the Seiko Marine Master Professional 300 meters lacks a solar quartz movement. It just has a quartz movement. Also, it does not have a sapphire crystal, and it retails for a whopping $1,300. Seiko, in my opinion, is really gouging its very loyal customer base with its tuna models, especially its Marine Master Professional 300 meters. Seiko has upgraded its new Sumo model with a sapphire crystal, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that Seiko will one day get around to upgrading its Marine Master Professional 300 meters with a sapphire crystal. If you really need a tuna, I would hold out for the sapphire crystal. The Solar Quartz LTM's date is at the 4 o'clock position rather than the 3 o'clock position in the Seiko Marine Master Professional. The LTM lacks the half index to its right that the Seiko Marine Master Professional has. The LTM's date cutout contains enough margin so that the date can be read easily. Many reviewers will probably complain about the LTM's white date wheel against a black background, but I have no issues with it as it's readable for me, and I don't see that well. I also don't think it looks bad. The day-date window of the automatic version of the LTM looks jarring and hideous to me because of the white outline. While the LTM is a product of design plagiarism, I fell in love with the LTM at first sight. It's a beautiful, solidly made watch. The shroud is very solidly built with nice circular brushing. The bezel appears to have an insert. I'm not sure what this insert is made out of. It seems too shiny to be metal, so it might possibly be ceramic. It is a 120 click unidirectional bezel. It has a slight amount of back play. The bezel action is fine. The issue that I have with the bezel is that there's not enough area for me to grip, and this makes it difficult for me to rotate. In addition, the edges of the shroud have sharp angles, so it comes to a point right here. So if you overturn the bezel, which isn't hard to do because there's so little space in which to turn it, you'll get a little poke right here or here. The easiest way that I found of turning the bezel, and I'll take my watch off to show you. It's kind of, it's a little pathetic, but here. It's best to demonstrate turning a bezel when the watch is actually on your wrist here. So the best way I found is to just dig your thumbnail in and rotate it like this. If you do it like this, I mean, it's I would say slight torture. From reading the Worn and Wound article about the Seiko Marine Master 300 meters, it appears as if the actual Seiko Tuna is a lot easier to grip than this thing, but you never really know until you try. I will leave a link to that article in the description. Now, the bezel lines up correctly, or near correctly. Let me take the watch indexes are, however, a little off, especially the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and let me see, 3, no, that's 5 o'clock actually, and 6. These are applied indexes, and they were applied a little sloppily. You really have to look at the watch very closely to see that they were not lined up correctly. The indexes are very nicely raised, and they have a very sexy, sort of a mild patina coloring. The LTM's crystal has actual sapphire. I've tested it. The crystal is slightly domed, and it has anti-reflective coating as well. The crown is well knurled, and it has good crown pop, and it also has a nice little shark logo. There's a shark logo on the back. It's also really nice. I think that the shark logo is the only original feature of this entire watch. Like the real Seiko Marine Master 300 meters, the lugs are polished. I don't, aesthetically, the polished lugs doesn't really work for me because it sort of interferes with the consistency of the rest of the watch. Otherwise, the watch is are very consistent. The bracelet matches the shroud exactly. As you can see, the minute hand is not hitting the marks. It's hitting in between the marks. It's a little ugly when a quartz watch doesn't hit the marks, and I suspect that the Seiko Prospex Solar Tuna does hit the marks, but the Seiko Prospex Solar Tuna is about twice as expensive and has a hardlex crystal. The LTM's lume is not great, although it does appear to be acceptable. I will do a lume shot at the end of this video. The nicest aspect of the LTM is the bracelet. For a watch that has such a big case that is 15 millimeters thick and 46.5 millimeters in diameter, the bracelet feels very slender. The links are 3 millimeters thick, which is on the thin side. The bracelet width is 22 millimeters and it tapers down to 20 millimeters. The sides of the links are polished and very smooth. The bracelet uses screw pins. The end links are solid half links, and they articulate super nicely. And I'll show you how how the bracelet just lies flat over the case back. This is part of what allows this watch to fit like a glove. And I'll show you how this watch looks again on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. And I think it fits great. The lug to lug is only 43.5 millimeters. One reason I think that this watch wears so well is that only a small portion of the back of the watch is actually coming into contact with your skin. So it's this area right here. I call this type of case back a pregnant case back, and in my experience, these type of case backs generally wear a lot better, at least for me, than flat case backs. The clasp is the weak point of the bracelet. It is a ubiquitous style of clasp that you see on lower end dive watches. It is milled, as you can see, but it's also secure. It snaps in well, and there's not a lot of clearance here, which is good, but I really don't like these types of clasps. They remind me of like ice scrapers because this thing here looks like an ice scraper, and it is, and it's scrapey. You know, it's sort of, you know, if it hits your skin or someone else's skin at the right angle, it'll scrape you a little bit. So I'm not in love with the clasp, but there's nothing wrong with the clasp. The LTM appears to be, by and large, a very handsome, very comfortable, well-made watch, and I think it's a good bang for your buck. I wouldn't buy this watch personally because of the lack of grippiness on the bezel. I'm going to show you the lume now, and as usual, I will compare the watch to the Citizen Pro Master, which is a well-lumed watch. So I'll give it some light. All right. And I'll turn off the studio lights. Now, as you can see, the LTM lume is brighter than the Citizen lume. However, the Citizen lume has more staying power. It will stay brighter longer than the LTM lume. However, the LTM lume, I would say, holds its own against the Citizen.